All right, welcome. I'm Scott Reardon from College Place High School. And when I heard about WWCC having a guest speaker library of professions, I thought, hey, let's talk about high school teaching and primarily focusing on career and technical education. So I am a 16-year career and technical ed instructor at Walla Walla High School and College Place. I'm currently also in the dual role of career and technical ed director at College Place High School, and I'm in my 8th year here. So here we go, chatting about high school. And first of all, when you think of high school students, what's the first thing that comes to mind? I remember before I even started teaching, I ran into a lady in the Minneapolis airport, and she was an elementary school teacher from Moline, Illinois, and she heard that I was interested in teaching high school. And the first thing that came out of her mouth was, "High school? What do you have? A death wish?" Wow. Well, after 17 years of being out of industry and teaching high school, no, I didn't have a death wish, and I'm glad I made the switch. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, you have to get over that fear of teenagers. So my brief bio is I was an industry accountant, CPA, bunch of different industries for 20 years. I transitioned to Walla Walla High School as an instructor, initially Microsoft and business law in 2005. I taught 4 different classes in my time at High. In the fall of 2014, we opened up our doors here at College Place. We had 117 freshmen, old building, bad wiring, bad heating and air conditioning. And now, of course, we have a really nice school, which we are in our 8th year here. And I've been a longtime Future Business Leaders of America advisor. In all of my years of teaching, I've been involved with FBLA for High and College Place. And again, I've stepped into this career and technical ed director role where I help oversee our business and career and technical ed programs. And I'm responsible for all regulatory reporting for that. Another career option, right? Here's a little funny. I read this last year in the middle of our distance learning and COVID. Um, you can get into all these different social media apps, but you can't get into your Google Classroom assignment. Thought it was funny, thought it was pretty good. I think I actually reposted this on Facebook and really appreciated how kids were suddenly helpless, even though they apparently knew a lot about technology. I'm really glad we're not doing distance learning this fall. To continue, why would you go into teaching? And again, I'm talking to you professionals in particular who maybe have been in entrepreneurship or business management or something for a couple of years, or maybe you're just graduating from community college, going into those areas. And maybe I'm just kind of giving you a teaser for the future to think about, hey, maybe down the road, after I spend a little while in those industries, maybe high school might be for me. So why teaching? First of all, you have an opportunity to, really like no other, to make an impact on young people's lives. I am amazed how every couple of weeks something pops up either with one of my current students, with one of my former students. I just received an email 2 weeks ago from a young lady who works for Universal Studios in their marketing department. And I just had a brief conversation with her 10 years ago when she was about ready to drop a class. I said, no, I think you should stay in the journal class and continue in that area. And that whole conversation changed the trajectory of her life. A 5-minute conversation. So, again, you have an opportunity to make an impact on young people like you cannot imagine. And I'll have kids later, like, I'll run into kids in the store and they'll say, hey, Reardon, I remember you telling us about such and such in personal finance or whatever. Just amazing. And it never ceases to surprise me on these things that kind of pop up randomly. Before I started teaching, I went to a seminar and this guy talked about him and a PE teacher who would meet periodically and they'd say, hey, I got a paycheck. Now, a paycheck wasn't money written to them. A paycheck was that intrinsic reward they'd received from some impact they'd made on a kid's life. And so every time they received a paycheck, somewhere where they'd impacted a kid, they would get together and share their paycheck stories. And that really, I really caught my attention at the time. And so now, anytime a paycheck arises in my teaching profession, I always try to share it with someone because this is, I'll be honest, it's a very difficult profession. It's not for the faint of heart, but like I said, it's very rewarding. You can kind of pick your area of expertise. And even for the positions that I've been hired, I've kind of gravitated towards areas that I am strong in. For example, I teach Microsoft. I feel I know Microsoft software very well. I'm teaching accounting for the first time, which is my career background. But regardless, you will find that area of instruction, of teaching and curriculum that you are a master of and do very well. I have to say that the pay and benefits, not only because I've moved across the pay scale as far as years of experience and with my education, but also other opportunities and just our pay in general about 3 years ago went up tremendously because at the state level, they felt like schools, public schools, were not being funded properly. There's all kinds of professional development. If you're like a career and technical ed teacher, we have quite a bit of money devoted to our staff for keeping you current on whatever it is you're teaching. And there are also additional certification opportunities. One primarily is what's called National Board Teacher Certification, NBCT. Didn't quite get that acronym correctly, but they pay you a bonus if you can certify at the national level. Our state pays a bonus. So right now I'm earning a $10,000 a year bonus in addition to my regular teacher pay for being a nationally board certified teacher. All right. We need experienced leadership in education. We need people that have done it, have been there, specifically in industry. If you have industry experience, regardless of what that is, you have a tremendous advantage, particularly in teaching career and technical education classes. So don't, and if you're thinking about this transition, I guess my advice would be don't undersell yourself on what you might have to offer to young people in your area of expertise. Here comes another funny. Crap, that's due tomorrow. Or today was, oh, we have a test today, even though I've been telling you about this for 2 weeks. You get used to it. Thank you, Thomas. So if you want to go into teaching, where would you start? By the way, there's a picture of a year and a half ago. This is after I was cutting branches. I met with our 5 senior softball girls. Their season had been wiped out by COVID. I'm a big softball fan, and my daughter helped me design some posters for them to commemorate their senior year of softball that never happened, sadly. First of all, you have areas of expertise from industry that you have to lend to specifically to career and technical ed. And when I look like at our classes and our instructors, I could see we just had a change. We had a turnover this last year with an instructor leaving, going to Colorado. So there are openings and opportunities in career and technical ed on a regular basis, whether it's our school or another one. So you have areas of expertise that you could bring to those classes here at the high school level. Then you have to decide, do you want to teach like a traditional course like math or English or social studies? Is that your passion? Or do you want to take your industry experience and teach business or career and technical ed courses? And we have everything from medical science to graphic design to business areas to engineering to plasma cutters and laser etchers to graphic design, computer science, all kinds of different shapes and flavors of career and technical ed. And what we have found is we kind of find the right instructor and build classes around them rather than trying to force fit things together. So I would suggest starting to research the various certification program, either at the state level, Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, OSPI, or from local regional schools as to what they're requiring for certification, whether that's gen ed or in career and technical ed. If you're looking at correct career and technical ed, I'm being amazed more and more how the ease of entry into that area is getting. And so you can get what's called a conditional certificate if you have industry experience. You can begin teaching right away and then go through a university program over, say, 2 years with not a ton of classes, maybe like a 3 credit class every quarter for 2 years to earn your regular continuing certification in career and technical ed. Check. The other thing you should start is just check and look at local openings. Like look at College Place Public Schools, look at Walla Walla Public Schools for the different openings that they show as being open right now, whether you're qualified right now or not. You could at least get an idea of what kind of openings there are out there right now. And finally, I just said Starbucks, anyone, if you would like to chat with me and like just get together and go, hey, I've never really thought about this before, but this sounds kind of intriguing. And I'd like to see how this might, where I'm currently at, whether I'm just finishing up school or I'm going into industry or whatever. I would love to chat with you at any time. Or if you get 2 years down the road and think, hey, I remember this presentation, I'd like to get together with Scott and chat about that, please let me know. I'll buy you coffee and answer any questions you need to know. Here's a third funny. This was on memes from Walla Walla that one of our students from class of 2018 had. And it says, walking behind you with a bat, putting your screen up on the projector. So using Screencastify, I can take a student's screen. Maybe they're digitally wandering, and I put their screen up on the main projector. I'm like, hey, what kind of shoes are you buying up there? And the whole class can see it. It's great fun. Mr. Reardon deciding how he's going to tell you you're off task. Yeah. Or playing a siren on your computer. I have fun. I really have fun. Come on. You got to have fun. Don't be too serious. So maybe you're saying, well, it's not really for me. I'm not really into that. How can I help out in other ways? How could you help support our business programs here at College Place High School if you weren't going into teaching? Well, first of all, Future Business Leaders of America, I'm always looking for coaches for specific events. So, for example, I had a retiree, an educational assistant at Wahai, who continues to help me in an event called Client Service. So just getting together with kids and coaching them on various events. We have a worksite learning program here where students get credit for working in industry in their various area of concentration. That might be something where you could hire one of those students and they could, while they're working for you, they could earn high school credit for that. And then just simply, and in our business advisory meeting at Walla Walla Community College last night, they were looking for live audience volunteers, like come into our school and hear a presentation and evaluate it for a variety of different classes. We're always looking for our kids to have an authentic audience to present to. We have, by federal law, we have advisories we must have for both each of our specific programs for career and technical ed. And we have a general advisory that meets 3 times a year. And I am always looking for new members to speak into our various career and technical ed programs. Maybe you have an internship, a paid or unpaid internship that we could connect our students to in your particular business. It would be maybe a 6-month to 1-year internship. This used to be a thing back in my day of high school, and I think it's kind of coming back at the state level. So something to think about. So finally, if you have any questions, by the way, this was a Future Business Leaders of America National Conference. And as you can see over my shoulder, a place I'd always wanted to visit but never did, and it was only a block away from my hotel, was the Alamo in San Antonio. There's my contact information. And thank you again for hearing about potential career in high school education. Have a great day.